something that we thought potentially would never be done, and strong thoughts abound on this. We get a tweet from Donald J. Trump. And no, I'm not talking about the tweet of the drones delivering McDonald's to Chris Christie, although that was truly one of the funniest. I unbelieve, again, Trump is back in every way, shape, and form. This one is, the Republican Party will use its best efforts to eliminate daylight saving time, which has a small but strong constituency, but shouldn't. Daylight saving time is inconvenient and very costly to our nation. Now, I can't be the only one that thinks, I thought it was daylight savings time.
It should be. I hate that they hate, it should be plural.
I'm not the only one.
Every time I get corrected by someone, I'm like, no, actually, it's just daylight saving time. I'm like, okay, but that sounds stupid. It should be daylight savings times.
They can call it whatever they want. Who cares? We need it to go away. Like,
I'm going to keep adding S's. Daylight savings times.
Okay. So now that we've gotten the grammar out of the way, Erica, you feel strongly we should get rid of daylight saving time. Savings, whatever you want to say.
Why? I do. Well, I mean, I think it was originally put into place because economizing for farmers and trying to like more
not farmers.
Okay, whatever. I think whenever it happened, it's just another example of big government trying to mess with our circadian rhythms and make us sicker and make us weaker and just play around with, we can make everyone change their clocks twice a year. And that kind of like, flex from my big government makes me mad. I think it's whatever it was intended to do, didn't do it. The animals still have to get up at the same time when the sun comes up. I mean, we have animals and it doesn't change when they need their stuff. So get rid of it. It's just a flex on big government. Goodbye. And it's bad for people too. There's like increased heart attacks every year around daylight savings. People get more anxiety and depression. It's documented. Even Harvard Medicine, woke Harvard, which loves big government because they are a big government. They're like, this is bad for people. So I feel strongly.
I love farmers just as much as the next guy, but someone in the chat brought this up, and I agree. Babies and kids do not adjust well. My toddler still hasn't adjusted. He wakes up an hour earlier still, and we're a couple weeks removed. Go ahead, John.
See, I asked the state representative about this one time, and he represented an area. He goes, it's so funny. The dairy farmers were different than the pig farmers. Pig farmers like, whatever, man. But the dairy farmers, they had to set their clocks a routine. You have to milk a cow every 12 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when the sun's coming up. You milk it.
And then it means it's an hour earlier now. It's like they're going every 12 hours. They don't care what Ben Franklin it was his idea, I guess. And Americans are like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, Ben Franklin was kind of crazy at sometimes. Not every idea he had was a banger, okay? They left a few of them on the shelf. And then the progressive era comes along and says, hey, this is a great idea. Why don't we cut off the bottom half of a blanket when we sew it onto the top as if we're going to get more blanket? You're not getting more sunlight. The thing is, the earth gets so much sunlight from the sun. You can no matter what you do to your clocks, you're still getting the same amount. And so if you want more sun at the end of the day, then whatever, dude, then sleep in and whatever.
Right.
But
which is what I end up doing.
What is so funny about all this though is people are like, oh no. Trump must have meant year-round daylight savings time, have it year-round. I'm like, no, he didn't. And actually, we did this for a while. In the late 70s, the United States of America adopted permanent daylight savings time year-round. And what happened? Well, people that are living in the northern and eastern parts of the time zone, like Boston, like Green Bay, they're sending their kids, to school, and it's completely pitch black. It's not even like a little bit of dawn. It's like black, dark, totally dark. And kids would get killed. There's traffic accidents. It was bad news. It lasted like a year or two and it was over. America's like, nope, that was a bad idea. Let's go back to switching it twice a year. So get out of your heads. Everyone who thinks we should just do daylight savings time year round and have sun in the evening, like get over it. That won't happen. Because if you adopt that, we'll get rid of it a year later because it doesn't work. What you need to do is, good Catholics, you need to be a beacon of light here. Return to tradition. Standard time is normal. It's when noon is, the sun is up at the top of the sky. Yeah. Hello.
Exactly.
And if you don't like that, then you can be your own little troll and live in your own little garbage can or whatever the heck it is. I mean, give me a break on this stuff. It's the biggest joke. And by the way, as editor of The Loop, you may have noticed on a routine basis over the last 10 years how many articles I've had putting a big old thumbs down on daylight savings time. This guy had a great point. He goes, a lot of people bent out of shape over standard time versus daylight saving time are actually just upset the Earth is tilted on its axis, leading to variable day lengths throughout the year. Tinkering with the clocks can't fix that.
Exactly.
If you don't like it, move to Ecuador.
Yeah.
Okay?
Go off, King.
Oh, man.
So here's the thing, though.
Switching
Can
the
it
clocks
actually
twice
happen?
a year. It doesn't work for
It doesn't
cows.
make
It doesn't
sense.
work for kids. It's stupid.
But Josh, tell me, what's the path to this actually happening? Because people have talked about this. And I would also like to point out another feather in the cap of Trump understanding cultural zeitgeist, right? People have called for this for a long time. And for some reason, politicians just don't touch it or kind of do. And there's no real.
It's a unifying cause. I mean,
Right.
left, right? Everyone hates it.
Okay. 20% of Americans, 21% of Americans want to keep it the way it is, where we switch it twice a year. And I hate that.
I bet
There are
over
a
the
good
age of
chunk of
70.
people, like 30 or 40%, are like, let's have daylight savings time permanent because they love this, because they hate mornings. You know, Americans just hate mornings and they love their evenings.
Yeah, I'm with
and
you
they
on
want
that.
the sun. I want the sun till 10 p.m. in the summertime. Like, dude, again, whatever. Just tell your employer you want to start work at 3 a.m. and you can have your whole, time at day. It drives me up the wall. And then about 35% of Americans are actually correct in saying standard time.
There you go.
So 70% of the people want it.
Plurality.
70% of people want, almost 80% of people want to end want to lock the clock in one way or another, to stop changing it twice a year.
Hashtag lock the clock.
It's a gimme.
Right. But then we're divided on, do we do daylight savings time permanently? Which, again, like I said, Congress
Bad idea.
We did this as a country.
We tried that.
And it failed.
Failure.
So
Yep.
standard is your call. And then work with your employer to find out a way. Say that you want to start working at midnight so you have so much time, that you're awake, that has sunshine.
No. I
Okay,
don't
Josh,
think
but I need a straight answer
So
here.
bizarre.
What is the path to this happening? Because I saw attempts were made in 2022 and 2023 through Congress, and both bills stalled out. So could it be executive action?
Of Congress, you need an act of Congress to make it permanent daylight savings time, but you don't need an act of Congress to get just a return to standard time. States can just do that. Like Michigan, we could just return to standard time. Indiana, return to standard time. You don't need a permission from Congress you need permission from Congress to go outside of standard time or to deviate from what we currently have. But if you want to just return to standard, you can just do it. You don't need Congress. You don't have to worry about a filibuster. Just tell the people in your state legislature, we want to return to normalcy, return to standard. That's what Arizona has.
But what is Trump advocating on doing here? It's not individual states go back to do what you want. What is he saying?
Well,
he's
I mean,
gonna
you
do?
can use the levers of the federal government to
force it.
to create incentives and stuff like that, and basically use your bully pulpit. And then he could get a bunch of Republican states that are Republican leaning to return to standard time, and then the domino effect happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it'll never
Okay.
happen in Connecticut. They love just pulling our strings. They're just like
They're obsessed with it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Flying drones over you.
I mean, here's the
Oh, I
thing:
know.
at a bare minimum, like if we keep this system where we switch it twice a year, which I loathe almost more than musicals, actually more
Whoa.
than musicals.
Whoa, more than musicals.
He opened the door.
Passion of Thousand Suns.
I find musicals loathsome. I hate them with the passion of 1,000 suns. Yeah.
Yes.
If we were to keep this system where we switch the clock twice a year, at least move it to Friday night where you switch the clock. So you give yourself 2 days before Monday.
Yeah.
That's a basic step you could make,
Speaking of early Twilight Zones, did you see can you guess which of the Supreme Court justices made their debut in a musical?
Oh man.
One of them did.
KBJ. Sorry, KBJ.
Wow.
Supreme Court
KBJ.
Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson made her debut on
I was
Broadway.
right. Oh man, I hate it when I'm right about stuff like that. I'm like, can you please just beat the stereotype, people?
Nope. So Josh, you can go check that one out if you want.
Musical.